DPS Advisors for yourself.
Okay, so we ready to sign up, become clients? Everybody, just as Kristen did, you guys have to, right? So, sign up. Susie's right back there. Nah, just kidding. In case you haven't figured out yet, my name is John Papa. I'm the president of DPS Advisors. You met Ted. He's my brother-in-law. Sue back there is my assistant. She's been with me for 25 years. My son is not here tonight, neither is my daughter, but they've been working with me for a couple of years now. We are, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit about why we do what we're doing here tonight and where we started and where we came from, so you guys can get a better handle, better idea of, what'd you come to the Parsippany Library for. We are a family-run financial advisory firm. We educate and empower people so that they can make better decisions with their hard-earned money. Okay, I know this isn't the first event you guys have attended. We're not selling any annuities. We're not selling you anything. We are going to hopefully educate you and empower you so you can make a better decision with what's going on with your finances, okay? There's going to be no stress, no obligation. We're going to offer you all an opportunity to come meet with us in our Roseland office to discuss, why you actually came here tonight. Again, this is a Thursday night at the Parsippany Library. It's the first round of the NFL draft at 8 o'clock tonight, so believe me, we're going to get out of here because I want to watch the draft. I'm kidding, that was a joke. You guys can laugh a little bit. Our motto, I started this practice with my dad 40 years ago. I mean, I don't look like I'm that old, but I want to think I'm 25, but I'm not. 40 years ago, my dad started this practice and we were going to small businesses and just trying to put in 401k plans, and he was doing life insurance, and we evolved to where we are today. He's no longer with us. He didn't know his 2 grandkids were going to be working in the practice that we started, but we're a 3rd generation family-run practice. And when I say we treat our clients like family, that is no joke. We treat our clients like family. They have my cell number, they have not Sue's cell number, Ted's cell number, my son's cell number, my daughter's cell number. We're your advisor. You're trusting us with your money. You have the right to call me at any time. I don't care if it's 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I don't care if it's Sunday afternoon. Something going on with you financially, I need to know about it. I'm your financial advisor. So we are a family-run business. We're going to talk about a couple things tonight. Social Security. That's a big topic going on right now. It's a political football that goes back and forth between the two sides. We're not going to get political tonight. We're just going to talk about facts. We're going to talk about taxes on tax-deferred accounts. You were watching that show, paying attention to that show you just saw. I talk a lot about taxes on qualified plans, 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, probably your largest asset that you have besides your house. What are the effects of taxation on that? I'm going to talk to you about some opportunities that you might have. We're going to talk about market volatility. How do I invest when I'm older now, okay? When you're accumulating and working, you can be really aggressive. It doesn't matter about stock market volatility. But when you're older and you're taking money from your portfolio for income, or you just have less time, we're all getting older, we have less time on this earth, maybe I can't be as aggressive as I used to be. So we're going to talk about market volatility as well, okay? We have a smaller group, so ask questions, all right? But if we're getting cut on time because the first pick is going to be at 8 p.m., we're going to wrap it up, all right? It was a little joke as well. We can joke. We like to have fun here at DPS Advisors. So if I say a joke, you guys got to laugh, all right? So this screen, you can't read it, okay? But this is a compliance screen, okay? What I'm saying here is we're going to talk about things, those 3 topics, and it's in general, okay? Don't go home tonight and implement what we're talking about. Let's have a conversation first, and then, with you in our office, and let's see what we're talking about really applies to you. So don't go home tonight and make decisions, make changes. That's what that says, okay? Now, we talk about why'd you accept the invitation? Who are we? I just gave you a background about our practice. I'm 40 years in this business, right? But we have some expertise and we have some knowledge here, okay? I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about that. I just explained you don't need to see another video. So I'm a licensed fiduciary. So is Ted, so is Luke, and so is Alyssa. What does a licensed fiduciary actually mean? Okay, has anybody heard that word before, the fiduciary? Okay, if you get one thing out of tonight, make sure you're working with a licensed fiduciary. And it's pretty simple to find out if you are, okay? So a licensed fiduciary has a level of care for a client that's really high standards. A broker who works for one of the big box firms has just a suitable standard of care. And I like to use analogies when I talk with people, so I'm gonna give you the analogy of Home Depot. Let's say you needed a hammer to hang one of those beautiful pictures outside there that they're selling in your house, and your big box phone broker, whoever you're with, sells you a 20-pound hammer. You ask for a hammer, they sold you a hammer. Can you shut that door? They sold you a hammer, everything's fine. That was a suitable recommendation. You asked for one, they sold it to you, no problems, can't get in trouble. No matter what, if you dislocate your shoulder and get hurt during that, they can't get in trouble. As a fiduciary, I could probably get fined for that, okay? Because I'm Home Depot. You come into me and say, hey, I need a hammer. I'm gonna say, okay, great, let's go to aisle 12. I'm gonna look at all the hammers that we have. Let me ask you a few questions. Any orthopedic issues I should know about? Any heart issues? Any medical conditions that I need to know about to see what type of hammer you can actually swing? I have a 1-pound hammer to sledgehammers. Let's go find the right tool for the job you're trying to do. That's a fiduciary standard of care, okay? Now, if you, like I said, if you get one thing out of this, you want to work with a fiduciary. So if you go home, now it's nighttime, so I'll call tomorrow and talk to your financial advisor if you're working with one, and say, hey, I was talking to I was at a presentation. Well, I heard I should be working with fiduciaries. You might not want to tell me you're at a presentation because I'm going to ask you why. Hey, I heard that I should be working with a fiduciary. Are you a fiduciary? And if they say yes, just follow up, say, great, that's awesome. But follow up with a second question. Which kind? Because there's only two. Registered Investment Advisor, RIA, which is what we are. We're licensed with the SEC as Registered Investment Advisors. Or CFP, Certified Financial Planners. Those are the only two designations that can say legally they're fiduciaries. But I can tell you, people have come into my office and said, yeah, I'm working with a fiduciary, and I told them the same story. Go ask them a question, and they came right back and said, you know what, you're right, not a fiduciary. They couldn't answer yes to CFP or RIA. So work with a fiduciary. They have your standard of care over their own at all times, and more importantly, they have to disclose compensation, okay? I can't tell you how many times people sitting in this room in those chairs come into our office and they work with us, and I ask them, what is your current advisor charging you? And they have no idea. I'm like, how could you sign up with somebody and not know how much it's costing you? Fiduciary has to disclose it. I will tell you exactly what we charge and for whatever services we're providing for you. You'll know that in advance, okay? So that's another reason why you want to work with a fiduciary. Couple quick things, and again, we're not political, but I've been on Fox. Everybody heard of Fox Business? Every Sunday there's a show called The Wealth Council at 2 o'clock. This Sunday, the 26th of April, I'll be on that show. I'm one of the advisors who's on the Wealth Council. So if you're sitting around doing nothing on Sunday at 2 o'clock, you want to click on the Wealth Council, you'll see me on that show. I think I'm on 3 of the 4 Sundays in May as well. So I've been one of the advisors they've asked to do that, which is pretty cool. I've also been on a show on CNBC. Anybody heard CNBC? All right, they have a show called The Worldwide Exchange, broadcast in 90 countries. I was on that show with a host from London, and we were talking about how do people in retirement or older people get yield or income from their portfolios in a really low interest rate environment. Because, a few years ago, interest rates were 0, right? So I had a whole segment on that show about income and yield for retirees. I've been on MSNBC. My TV show that you were watching before is on CW11. It's also on CBS, WLNY. It's on New Jersey 12 Network. That television show you saw with Kristen is broadcast every week. You can catch us on different cable channels, all right? We do different shows every week. I fly out to Arizona once every 3 months and record a bunch of shows, and they come out and we broadcast them on the stations. So I have an extensive area in this arena, written articles for Benzinga, Market Watch. So I'm not just some new rookie kid on the block that needs every one of you to sign up so that I can make a living, right? We're not. I'm educating you, I'm empowering you, and if you want to walk out that door tonight, you more than right, go right ahead. I would love to work with every one of you, okay? But I'm realistic, that's not gonna happen. If you're interested and we talk about something that is important to you, maybe we can help. Okay, and that's what we'll try to do. 39 years licensed fiduciary. I skip through these things. Sometimes I don't go right order. This is our show. Showtimes, New Jersey 12 Network, every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. It's rebroadcast at 6:30. We're on CW11, CBS. I also do a radio show, really quick. Show of hands. Who listens to the radio today? Anybody? WOR 710 Sunday afternoons, 2 o'clock. Me and Morgan. And I'm not real ingenious with my words. It's called the Papa Report. Again, I do a radio show. We get more calls from the radio show than we do any other media. I'm shocked by that, right? But if you're listening on a Sunday, WOR 710. We've written a couple books. So I have a good knowledge in this business. That's all I'm trying to say. So I don't want you to think I'm some new kid, some rookie guy in the business. 40 years of experience. So we're here to educate you, empower you, and hopefully you'll make a better decision with your hard-earned money. We're going to talk about 3 topics. Ted's going to hit the first one. It's going to be about Social Security. Any quick questions real quick?
So you talk about your practice. How many clients do you have?
That's a great question. We manage, Sue, what are we, about 325, 330 families we serve?
At least.
Somewhere around there, 330
And
families?
so just, how many are like over 2 million of assets with you?
I'm really not supposed to disclose that stuff, and I'm actually being recorded.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
we have a lot of clients over and have a lot of clients under. You don't
Okay.
have to have $2 million. So ladies and gentlemen, you're sitting here
Right,
thinking,
right.
you don't need 2 million to be a client.
Right. And then what are your fees? What do you charge?
It depends on how much we're gonna be managing. The more money we manage, the lower the fee. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Okay.
But usually they're a flat fee for what?
It depends on,
Financial
you're right, it's a
advisor.
flat fee. It's a flat fee for how much. If you come in here with $100,000, my fee is different than it is for somebody who's making 2 million. Who I'm managing 2 million.
So say somebody that comes in with $500,000.
I'll tell you all that afterwards. I really don't, I can't
Okay,
disclose
all
it.
right.
We'll talk about it
Okay.
in person.
All right.
The fee ranges from 1.5% to 0.75, depending on how much we're managing.
Okay, thank
Put a
you.
range like that, okay?
Thank you.
So Ted's gonna talk about Social Security. I totally missed the whole beginning part of it. Like, hey, you have a sheet of paper here that regardless of whether you wanna take us up on our offer to meet with us, I need to pick this up from every one of you. So I'm sorry, I should have said that first, all right? Please fill this information out. If you're here as a couple or with a partner, one per couple or partner is fine. If you're here by yourself, I need it from you. This will also tell me if you are interested in meeting with us, check off some of the stuff on the back, like what we talked about that interests you, so we can be prepared when you come in to see us, okay? That's number one. Number two, we all have cell phones, right? Everyone's got a cell phone. Could you please turn it on silent so that it doesn't ring while we're talking, okay? Sorry about that. So, any questions real quick? This is gonna be a nice presentation. I want you to ask questions. You don't want to just hear me and Ted talk the whole
Are
time.
you a registered investment advisor, fiduciary, or you're a CT?
I'm a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Yep. My firm, I own, registered with the SEC. Yep. Any other questions before we get going? Okay, cool. Ted's going to talk about Social Security and we'll get going.
All right, thank you, John. Welcome, everyone. As John said, I am talking to you all about Social Security, which I know is a very important topic for everyone in this room. The issue that I have when it comes to Social Security is the Social Security Administration itself conducted a study in 2018 where they determined, believe it or not, there are over 9,000 different ways for a married couple to file for Social Security, and there are over 2,700 rules that govern Social Security. So John asks me to talk about 9,000 ways to file and 2,700 rules in 5 or 10 minutes. So wish me luck.
We got the draft time.
Oh, we got the draft, so I'm 5 minutes.
3 to 4 minutes. I'm joking.
So, with those big numbers, right, there are really two questions people have when they come into our office for a meeting, okay? The first question is, will Social Security be there for me when I need it? And the second question, the answer to that question is yes, but. The second question is, when is the best time for me to file or claim Social Security? And the answer to that question is, it depends. So you get a yes, but, and an it depends. A lot of concrete information right there, all right? With respect to the first question, we're going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. We're going to go back to 1935. FDR enacted or created Social Security in 1935. They actually chose 65 years old as the full retirement age in 1935. They thought 60 was too young, 70 was too old. Can anyone take a guess as to what the average life expectancy was for someone who was born in 1935? 59 and a half. All right, so do the math in your mind. The full retirement age was 65. The average life expectancy was 59 and a half. Right? They didn't expect many people to be collecting Social Security for a very long time. Here we are 91 years later. All they've done is increase the full retirement age from 65 to either 66 or 67, depending on when you were born. Okay, however, can anybody tell me what the average life expectancy is for someone born in the year 2026?
78 to 80.
Very good. So for women, it's about 79. For men, it's about 74. On average, it's about 77. I think we all agree and we all know that women live longer than men. We're not going to debate in this class as to why that is. But women live longer. The average life expectancy is now 77. So what happens now, last year, for the first time in the history of the United States, more people were taking money out of Social Security than were paying into it, right? You've got your baby boomers, you've got Generation X, you've got Generation Y, known as the millennials. All of these people are either in or nearing retirement. Right? 77 million people took money out of Social Security last year. All right, so has anybody heard that Social Security is going bankrupt? Has anybody heard that? All right? What that actually means is the trust fund that they had built up over 90-something years is actually being depleted because more people are taking out than are paying into it. All right, so statistics are showing the Social Security Administration itself has determined that if Congress doesn't take any action, by 2033, 2034, the trust fund itself will be gone. All the money from the trust fund will be gone. However, again, keep in mind that people are still contributing to the system, right? If you've ever looked at your pay stub and you see the Social Security tax or FICA, people are always like, who's the FICA guy that I'm giving 6.25% of my money to, right? That's the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. That's the money that goes directly to fund Social Security. All right, so Congress can do a few things to continue to keep it solvent. If you look up here on the top left, right, you're going to see the Social Security wage tax. We're actually in the midst of updating our presentation as we speak. But you'll see in 2024 it was 168,000. 2025 it's 176,000 and some change. For 2026 it's 184,500. What that means is that if you're making $200,000, $500,000, or $1 million a year, For the purposes of Social Security, they're only going to tax you up to that maximum wage, all right? So they can continue, and I'm assuming they're going to continue to raise that number, okay? They can also continue to increase, which they really haven't done much, the full retirement age. It would be very reasonable for them to take a young person now who's, 25 or below and say, you know what, your full retirement age is going to be 70 instead of 67. All right, so there's a few things they can do to make sure those minimum benefits and FRA and maximum benefits have even got up in 2026 as well. What you need to consider, right, and the kind of pain point for everybody to consider is if Congress doesn't take any action, right, and things continue as they are, the estimates are by 2033 or 2034, whatever you're already collecting in Social Security or what you anticipate you're going to collect, instead of getting 100% of that number, you're going to get about 80% of that number. So think about it, in another 7 years, if you live here in the Northeast, how the price of things go up dramatically every few years. John's going to talk a lot more about inflation, so I don't want to steal his thunder. But in 7 years, if the price of everything's going up and you're relying heavily on Social Security and your Social Security is cut to 80%, it's something that you need to talk to your financial advisor about, right? How are you going to potentially make up for that lost income, all right? And Social Security was only meant to kind of replace about 40% of your income, but statistics are showing that for single women in retirement, so that's either you're single, you're divorced, you're widowed, 40% of single women in retirement are relying 100% on Social Security, all right? And 30% of married couples are relying 100% on Social Security. So it is an important consideration to think about. We do believe Congress is going to continue to act, but we got to follow it and pay attention to it, all right? The second question, when's the best time for me to file? Again, that answer was it depends. And the reason it is because everyone's situation is very unique. You may have a friend or a relative who tells you, you know what, I want to get my money as soon as I can, at the age of 62. You should do the same thing. And they may have your best interests at heart, but they have no idea what your situation is, right? You think about it, it's kind of a strange thing for financial advisors to tell you this, but you should probably talk to your doctor about longevity. Right? Are you expected to live a long time? My parents are both still alive. At the age of 86, I had a grandfather who lived to 96. So for me, I go to my doctor every year. I need to plan for longevity, right? Financially, we don't want anybody in this room who would come meet us to ever run out of assets. You don't want to outlive your assets, and you want to have the same standard of living that you have. All right? So just want to make sure, again, everybody knows that you can file at 62. If you do, you're going to get about 75% of what you would have gotten had you waited until your full retirement age of either 66 or 67. If you can wait 70, your maximum would be about 132% of what you would have gotten at your full retirement age. Another thing I want to make sure everybody's aware of, right? There's no benefit for you to wait older than 70. Some people are like, should I wait to 72 or 73? No, right? There's no additional benefit. What you'll see though, there's a significant bump if you can wait between your full retirement age and your maximum age of 70. The government gives you what's called delayed retirement credits of 8% each of those years. So at a time that you may be conservative in your portfolio, the guarantee from the government is 8% a year. All right, but again, are you working? Do you need the money? They call us the sandwich generation because there may be people in the room who are at the same time taking care of your parents financially, at the same time you're maybe taking care of adult children or younger children, right? You're paying both ways. Can you afford it? For people who are younger than their full retirement age, if you're still working and you collect Social Security, right, they're going to actually hold back some of the payment on you, okay? So if you're above, it's a very low threshold of $24,000. If you're making above $24,000, you're not yet at your full retirement age. For every $2 above that threshold, we're gonna hold back $1. You'll get that back eventually when you turn your full retirement age, but they are gonna hold it back at a time when you think you're gonna get the money. If you're collecting the year that you're actually turning your full retirement age, if you're turning 67 this year, right, and you're working and collecting, that number bumps up to about 65,000, and then for every $3 above the 65,000, they're gonna hold back $1 until your full retirement age. So that's why I said everyone's situation is very unique, okay? What we want to do now, all right, so I just said how unique everybody is, but we do want to show you a mathematical example of all things being equal, in this case, between Ron and Nancy, a married couple, is if three scenarios, and they decide to take Social Security at either 62, their full retirement age, or at the maximum age of 70, all right? So Ron is 60 in all three scenarios, Nancy's 58. Their average life expectancy, because the good news is if you're in this room tonight, the numbers I talked about for the people who were born this year, the average life expectancy of about 77. If you're in the room tonight, your average life expectancy is even higher than that, all right? So that's the good news. If you're a married couple, one of you can expect to live into your 90s, okay, statistics. All right, Ron's 60, Nancy's 58. Life expectancy of 85, Nancy's is 90. If they both take benefits at 62, cumulative, they get about $1.65 million, okay? Now, if they waited until the full retirement age, 5 years later, the monthly benefit bump is from $1,900 for Ron to $3,000. Nancy is $1,400 to $2,200. Again, they're still living to the same age of 85 and 90, but because the monthly bump is so much, their cumulative value is now $1.9 million and some change. It's like $280,000. However, if they can wait until they're 70, look at the monthly benefit there. It's like about $3,800 for Ron, and it's about $2,800 for Nancy. Even though it's a much shorter period of time, the benefit is so high that it's about $2.1 million. So again, everybody's situation is unique, but we just wanted to provide you with a mathematical example of how it could work for you, taking it at those three different ages, all right? So I think I covered everything that I'm going to cover in my 5 or 10 minutes. Can answer quick questions if anyone has any questions on that, or we can just jump into the next important topic. Sir?
What about the money that you forewent, you forego,
Right.
those 5 years,
Right.
6 years and stuff? I said, let's say you're making $30,000 a year in Social Security at 60, all
Right.
right? And you decide to wait until you're 67.
Right.
So that's $150,000 that you did not collect.
Right.
Okay? Where's your break-even point? Now, if you took that money and you invested it, it's going to be more than 5 years.
Great question. So, the first question I'm going to ask you, I'm going to answer your question with a question. Can you guarantee yourself that you're going to invest the money? Right? A lot of people say, I'm going to take the money and don't invest it. So if you outperform, like there's a cost of living adjustment that you get if you take the money. If you outperform that and you're religious about your investment, it could potentially be beneficial for you. Particularly between 67 and 70, where you get that 8% bump. The crossover, though, that you talked about is at about the age of about 78. So if you decide to wait until you're 70 years old, right, and then you claim, if you live above 78 and you waited to 70, that's really where the benefit accrues. So again, both of my parents were 86. For the last 8 years, for 8 years, they've been getting that significant difference after that crossover. So does that answer your question? It's a great question.
It does, but then your second question was, I'll answer it. You
Yeah.
said, say it again, I'm sorry. You said, are you going to invest it?
Right.
What's the difference if I invest it or I don't invest it? If I don't invest it, and I can't invest it, let's just say, and I pull from my 401k or something like that, I'm depleting my 401k.
Right.
That 401k at a later date could be inheritable.
Well, the 401k, one of the things that when people come into our office and talk to us about is we prefer to convert the 401k or move it into an IRA, potentially into a Roth where you have many more investment options. 401ks, John, I'm going to steal John's thunder. He's going to talk about this a lot.
Right. The crossover point, that's why we showed the three different
Yeah.
examples in there. That factored in investing the money.
Yeah.
That factors it in.
But he's
So,
going to talk a lot about the
crossover point is the
401k.
78 years old. That's where, and that's why we say talk to your doctor. If you're not going to have life expectancy, or you have issues health-wise, and you might not get to 78, 79 years old, that's the crossover point. If you make it past those years, you should have waited to 70.
Right.
Even taking the money early, that's how less of a benefit you get at 62 versus 70.
But if you need the
Crossover
money,
points.
you need the money, right? Everybody's situation is unique.
But even if you invest the money, you might be able to
That-
do just
that's-
as good or better.
That's factored into the equation.
Potentially, you could.
That's
Or
that's factored
it
in.
it could be worse, right? Depending how the returns go.
So in your equation, what was the return rate?
We use the 7% return rate.
7%, okay.
Okay, yes?
Can you talk about spousal social security benefit?
Yeah, so there are, multiple types of benefits. There's the regular social
If you're
security,
both working.
there's spousal, then there's, if one of the spouses is deceased, there's survivor benefits, and each kind of pays a different amount. Generally speaking, spousal benefit is the higher of your spouse's benefit, half of your spouse's benefit, or your own. If your spouse passes away, you become a survivor, it's whatever the spouse's benefit was. All right, so it depends on, is your Social Security benefit higher than half of your spouse's? That's really the question that you ask.
Okay, one of the spouses is collecting, in our case, I'm collecting, my wife is still working.
Right.
And is it benefit to her, and she is already full retirement age?
She is,
Yeah.
right.
So is benefit for her while she's working to collect half of my social security, or can she?
If she's over the full retirement age, it
Yes.
could be, yeah. And that's a thing where, you talk to Social Security, you talk to your financial advisor, it sounds like it potentially could be a benefit, right? Yep. Okay.
Regardless your income,
What's that?
regardless the income if you are working.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
it could,
Are you over age 67?
Yeah, you said she's full retirement
Yeah,
age.
it doesn't matter.
right. Yes,
Can you talk about taxes for social security income? How is it taxed? Is it
taxes
tiered?
as income.
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand, but is it like tiers, like?
Well, it depends what your income is. So the income, whatever your income level is, our tax system is a tiered system. If you're over a certain amount, your whole amount's not taxed at the same rate.
So it
So-
goes with the IRS bracket?
That's a question.
No, not the IRS brackets. It's tiered where if you were making between 24 and like 35,000 a year in income, your Social Security would be taxed at 50% level. If you're over 35 or 36,000, you're taxed at 85% level on your Social
Right.
Security payments. It's not tiered towards the tax bracket.
Well, it's not your taxed at the 85% rate. It's that 85% of your income from Social Security
Is
is
taxed.
taxed at your income rate, right? So it's a
Right.
little.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
available on their website?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's another thing, real great point. So, and I'm sorry, I'm running over here, but remember they used to send you the papers with your Social Security, right? Now, if you go to ssi.gov, right, it's actually, believe it or not, it's a government site, but it's pretty easy to set up your own account. That's where you're gonna get your information. Everybody we've talked to recently has said they're getting good response rates when they call, or if you go to your Social Security office. They're pretty helpful nowadays, everybody's been telling us. So I don't know if you found it, you made a face like.
Depends who you meet.
Yeah,
That's true.
Right. Well, you might have to ask a few people, that's also. So listen, I'm gonna be here a little bit, but John's gonna talk a lot more about the 401k questions you have, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Good job. So we talk about income taxes, you guys had a couple of questions on that, right? When we refer to income taxes, we're focusing most of our conversation on the tax deferred accounts, right? So who here has a 401k, IRA, 457? You put money away into this plan, and you got a deduction, and you're gonna pay the taxes later at some other time, tax deferred. Everybody pretty much in the room has that?
403B.
403B is like an IRA, like a 401k. Exactly, there's just different codes because it's from different employment. 403B is education, hospital, police, things like that. 401Ks, you work for a private company, they put a 401K, but all the rules are the same. The taxation rules are the same, okay? Are there any accountants here in the room? Accountants who do taxes for people? Anybody? Okay, good. I'm gonna say some stuff. No, but if there are, it's not against them, it's just, you know, there's reasons why we do what we do and maybe we make it. So who here is meeting with their accountant? So is your typical strategy with your accountant, you gather all your stuff in January, February, you drop it off, you used to bring it to them, and then you would meet them one more time in person, and they'd give you your return, you have to go put it in the mail. Well, now it's, you give them all your stuff, they email you, your returns are done, you e-file, you e-sign, and everything's you never see the person ever again until next January, February. Is that pretty much everybody's relationship with their accountant? Okay, who's meeting with their accountant in September and October to try and figure out a way to make their taxes less? Who's doing tax planning? You are?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Who is talking to their financial advisor who's managing their 401k, 403b, or 457 plan to try and pay the least amount of taxes on the distributions of those accounts? Who's doing that? Good. Good. So two, that's typically one or two people. That's awesome. Most people are not doing that. Most people are not doing that. What we're going to talk about today is what the benefit of doing tax planning. Because if you don't think the IRS knows how much money you have in your 401k, 403b, IRA, you're greatly mistaken. They know, okay? And they know it's never been taxed, okay? So let's talk a little logistics first, all right? This slide's, we're updating this presentation, this slide's off by $3 trillion. Our country's $39 trillion in debt, right? Our country doesn't make any products to sell at a profit to reduce their debt. What does our country do? What do they collect? Taxes on our income, right? That's all they do. Anybody remember Ronald Reagan? Okay, he was president. What was he before president? Before that? He was an actor, right? Governor's a politician. We're not talking about those years. He was an actor. In 1939 or 40, he did a Western movie and made $1 million. You know what the highest federal tax bracket was in 1939 or 1940?
45%?
No.
90. Ronald Reagan paid $900,000 to the federal government in 1939 or 40 on $1 million salary from a movie. And I honestly think if he was here today, he would say that that was probably the reason why he got into politics, was because he didn't want anybody to ever pay 90% of their income to the federal government, because the federal government doesn't know what they're doing with our money. I don't care what side of the alley you're on. I don't want the federal government doing anything. So my job as your financial advisor is to try to talk to you about some strategies on how do we make that lower? How do we make the taxes lower on our qualified plans, okay? And only 2 people here in the room are actually doing it. Where do you think tax rates are going? Who here thinks tax rates are going down in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Right? Ted made some comments about there's more people collecting Social Security now. That means they're not working anymore. They're closer to not working. There's going to be, I think, in the next 5 years or so, more retired people in the United States than working people in the United States. Every tax accountant that we work with, that we talk to, or tax attorney that we talk to, is in agreement. Tax rates, not in the next 2 or 3 years, in the next 5, 10, 15 years down the road, tax rates are going to have to go up because there's going to be less people working and more people retired. And you know what that does to taxation on tax-deferred accounts? Crushes them. So think about the logistic name of a tax-deferred account. So if you're taking a tax deferred account, when do you want to pay taxes on those tax deferred accounts?
Never.
When tax rate, well, you can't do never because that's, you'll get arrested for that.
It's a good answer, though.
Okay, you'll go to jail for never. When do you want to take the taxes out? When tax rates are low or when tax rates are high?
When your bracket is low.
Right, that's when you want to take money out of a tax deferred account, right when tax rates are low. Well, we all just nodded that tax rates are going up in the future and we're in the lowest taxable environment we're in right now. Why aren't all of you doing tax planning like these two people and taking the money out now when tax rates are low? Whose accountant is advising them to do that? Only two people. Whose financial advisor is advising you to take money out of your tax deferred accounts now when tax rates are low? Only two people. I do it with all of my clients who have tax deferred accounts. And I'm going to show you why. Because if you do nothing, the IRS has a game plan for you, okay? And I was part of the problem. I told you, I'm in this business a really long time, 40 years. I would go around and set up 401k plans in little small businesses, 20 employees or less. My dad would do the insurance on the executives. I'd put up the little 401k accounts, bunch of mutual funds, tax deferred, don't worry about it. You're gonna be in a lower bracket when you retire. Who actually believes that? Nobody. Nobody who comes into our office today is in a lower tax bracket and you're retired. Very few people are in a lower tax bracket. So you're gonna be in the same or if not higher. Okay, so if you're gonna be in a lower tax bracket, a higher tax bracket, why would we keep deferring to a later date? Our country's $39 trillion in debt. So we have options. And I call this the game of let's make a deal. Who remembers that game? Remember the game show, Let's Make a Deal? There would be door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Okay, we're gonna play that game right now, all right? And usually when Luke or Alyssa's here, they're young, 35 and 34 and 26. They never heard of that game, but we all heard of that game. So how much money, I said we're $39 trillion in debt. How much money is sitting in all of our tax deferred accounts in the whole United States? $40 trillion of untaxed money. And if you don't think Congress knows that, you're mistaken, okay? And if you're not gonna do tax planning, this is what's gonna happen, okay? So I'm gonna show you door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3, and we're gonna play this little game called Let's Make a Deal, all right? So let's say you have an IRA, you're 65 years old. Now you guys know when RMDs kick in now? It used to be 70 and a half.
73.
Now it's 73, and in 2035, it's going to 75. Because we're living longer, the IRS knows that, they're not dumb, they know. They want to collect more revenue, you guys keep tax deferring, keep delaying, because they're gonna get more money, okay? 65-year-old person who has $500,000 sitting in an IRA. Is that too far-fetched, right? We live in North Jersey, saving your whole life. This is the save generation, you got a match. You know, this age group, if you didn't have it in cash, you didn't buy it, you didn't put it on a credit card, you saved all your money. Like my parents, like we all did, right? The young kids today, they spend everything. It's on credit cards. They don't care. I don't know how they live. It's nuts, right? But you saved everything. So having $500,000 at 65 years old in an IRA is not crazy. And let's say you're earning 7%. I'm not even going to say you're matching the S&P. You're 7% earnings. If your financial advisor is not getting you, am I in your way, man? Excuse me? I said, am I in your way? You're like ducking at her around. But if your advisor can't get you 7% in your portfolio today, in today's times, you need to fire that person now because money markets are poor, okay? So you should do that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're earning 7%, had 8 years to go. You guys are doing nothing except for these two people. You're doing nothing. You're just gonna let it grow and listen to the accountant, right? Or your advisor. And that IRA is gonna be worth $860,000 at 73 years old. And guess what? Now, the IRS comes knocking. The game's over. They let you tax defer all the years to 73. Now the IRS says, whether you need it or not, $35,000 has to be withdrawn out of that account. And the next year it's 37. And the next year it's 39.7. The next year it's 42. The next year it's 45. And it goes on and on and on and on and on until you die. Okay? And let's say you live till 90. We're talking about living longer, longevity. We're living to 90, okay? If you live to 90, you would have pulled out $1.1 million in distributions. And I'm not even going to change the tax bracket. So living to 90 means 8 years from now, because we're 65. That's 8 years from now. And then 17 years after that. So we're talking 25 years from now, and I'm not even going to change the tax brackets. But we're all in agreement, tax rates are going up. But at today's tax rate, 24%, you're going to pay $265,000 in taxes on those distributions. Okay? Does everybody understand that? We take the distributions every year, pay income taxes on them, and now at 90, when you pass away, the game's not over. Now you pass it on down to your kids or grandkids. They have to take it in what we call an inherited IRA. They can't add it to their IRA. It's got to go to an inherited IRA because distribution rules change. It doesn't matter if they're 30 years old, 20 years old, 50 years old, 40 years old. They have 10 years to take the money out and pay income taxes on that money. So that $1 million, let's say, goes to me. I'm your only child. I'm 45, 50 years old. You pass away at 90. I get your $1 million IRA. I'm in the prime working years of my career, making the most money I'm probably going to make ever. And I get your $1 million IRA. I have to take out $100,000 a year on top of my income. And there's no choice. That put me in a 30% bracket, maybe? So let's do 30% taxes to your child. That's $310,000 in taxes to the kids. So when your IRA that at 65 years old was $500,000, you and your family are going to pay $575,000 in income taxes on an IRA that was only worth $500,000 because you tax deferred and did nothing, did no tax planning. That, ladies and gentlemen, is door number one. Okay? So for those of you who are not doing any tax planning and have one of these accounts, that's what the IRS's game plan for you. Yes.
Is there any number of the tax you have to pay?
So on your distributions over that time frame of 17 years, you're going to pay $265,000 in taxes, and your kids are going to pay $310,000 in taxes, for a total of about $575,000. On an IRA at 65 was only worth $500,000. Okay? Yes, sir.
Quick question. You're using tax brackets, but the effective tax rate on somebody at that tax bracket is under 20%.
Says who?
I know it. I mean, because
Well, maybe you are. Maybe
after all your deductions and everything.
How do you know if this person's single or not? I didn't say they were married. Single deduction is $18,000. You don't know. You can't say that. You cannot say that.
But you're using the tax bracket number.
I'm using a tax bracket of 24%.
Right, but not the effective tax rate, which is
But
less.
you don't know what your deductions are. You don't know what his deductions are. So you can't make a blanket statement that everybody's in a 20% effective tax rate. You can't make it.
No, but.
You can't make it.
But you can't make the same statement.
I'm talking 20 years from now. Even with the effective tax rate, probably is going to be higher than 24. I'm using 24. There's 25 people, and the 20 people in this room. Not everybody is the same. Okay?
Okay.
Let's just go with the numbers because we're comparing the same numbers.
Okay.
All right? So you're going to pay $575,000 in taxes if you do nothing. Okay? What if I can show you a way using the same tax rates, so we're not going to change the tax rates, showing you the same tax rate, you can get the same distributions of $1 million to you, and $1.1 million to you, and $1 million to your kids, and you cut your tax bill to $150,000. Would you be interested in that? That's door number two. Door number two. What if we use some special financial tools that are available to us, and I could cut that tax rate down to $62,000 instead of $575,000? Would you be interested in that? But that involves tax planning. That involves sitting down with somebody, coming into an office in a stress-free environment and doing an analysis of your current situation. So that means all you have to do on that sheet of paper is check off and come into our office. We'll run your numbers. We think this is so important. We created a website for you to go on, dpstaxbill.com, and you can run your numbers, put your effective tax rate yield in, whatever you want to put in. Put it in and run your numbers. As long as you run the same tax rate on all the different solutions, the numbers are the same. I mean, the benefits are the same. The numbers might not be the same, but the benefits are the same. Option 2 is going to be cheaper than option 1. Option 3 is going to be cheaper than option 2. But it takes you to say, you know what? My accountant's not doing it. Neither is my financial advisor. Let's go set an appointment with DPS advisors, and they're going to show us in a stress-free environment. We're going to run your numbers for you. So all you have to do is, hey, you know what? That sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's go take advantage of it, get a date on the calendar, and let's go run our numbers. Let John, Ted, Luke, Alyssa run our numbers on DPS Tax Bill. Because, ladies and gentlemen, our schedule is crazy. I record my television shows, or I'm constantly going out to Arizona. I told you I'm out there. I record shows for the Wealth Council. I record shows for the Papa Report. Our calendar is crazy. If you don't make a calendar appointment, if you're interested, make it in the next couple of weeks, or we're not meeting until June or July, because I'll be traveling and I won't be around. So do it. It's going to be stress-free, I promise. There's going to be no obligation, okay? I'm going to tell you a little quick story about a doctor who sat in this seat right here in November of last year. Now, this is crazy because he's a retired doctor. All he wanted to do was pass on his IRA to his 2 daughters. Okay? And it's exceptional. He had a $5 million IRA. So I know not everybody has a $5 million IRA, but I just want to tell you the numbers that we just passed on to his daughters. Okay? We ran his numbers through dpstaxbill.com. If he did nothing, which he was going to do nothing, and he was going to turn 73 this year, 2026. We met him at the end of 25 from that chair in this library. Came to our office. He didn't have an accountant that he was comfortable with, so we brought one of our accountants in for the meeting, and we ran his numbers on DPS Tax Bill. If he did nothing, they were going to collect about $30 million in distributions between him and the kids. And they would have paid about $18 million in taxes on all of those distributions. Okay? And the accountant was there, CPA, ran the numbers for him, and he agreed. This is what's going to happen. That was door number 1 for him. Well, he implemented door number 2, and we cut that tax bill to $2.2 million. He went from 18 million to $2.2 million in tax bill, and saved $16 million, and his kids in there are going to inherit $25 million tax rate. Door number 1, you do nothing because you don't really know what the situation is, you don't know how it works. That doesn't mean it's not available. It means you just got to take the step, make an appointment, we'll run your numbers, and it might not work for everybody, but it might. And then you have a choice, you know? That's what we do. So we can do that for at a 6% inflation rate, they double. So imagine being 65 years old and you think you're going to live to 90, that's 25 years. 8 goes into 25 3 times, right? 8, 16, 24. So if you have a $4,000 a month expense in retirement at 65, 8 years later that 4 becomes 8. 8 years after that, that 8 becomes 16. And then God forbid at the end, that 16 becomes $32,000 a month of bills. Not buying more stuff, the same stuff. It just costs triple, doubles 3 times in retirement. So if you're not building yourself an increasing income plan throughout retirement, you're making a mistake. You know, if you're getting $3,000 from Social Security, maybe a couple thousand from a pension, a couple thousand from dividends, and that's my set income, and you think that same number of income is going to work for the next 30 years, you know, it's not going to work. Inflation's going to crush that income plan like it's nothing. Bless you. Okay, so what we do is we build increasing income plans, and I'll show you in a minute how we actually do that, okay? You have to have an increasing income plan in retirement. So if you don't know or have never heard of that, and you want to learn more about how to create an increasing income plan, then come see us in our office. We're going to show you how to do that. I'll build you a complimentary written income plan on how we would actually do it in our office. Okay. You can skip the next couple slides. That's inflation really quick. That's inflation. You just got to hit this. No, arrow button. Okay, we're going to keep going. Okay. Last topic we're going to talk about, and Luke normally does this topic, and because me and Ted talk forever, he normally calls this topic the 2-minute drill, the market volatility 2-minute drill, because that's all the time we give him. And Ted talked so much today about Social Security, we only have, this is a 2-minute drill on market volatility, okay? When you become older in life, your risk tolerance has to change, right? Because when you're building your portfolios, when you were working, you should be really aggressive. Because you're building your portfolios. Market downturns are actually good for you. Because you're contributing in that 401k, you're making contributions, the market drops 20%, no problem, I'm buying more shares. It's gonna go back up, and it does. It does. But what happens when you retire? Are you contributing anymore? No. What are you doing? You're taking money out. If you're taking money out and the market drops 25%, that's a problem, okay? So market volatility, your investment philosophy has to change. I can't tell you how many people come into our office, retired, and they bring their statements, and they're proud of their statements, and they're invested way more aggressive than they should be. And part of what our analysis will do when we analyze your statements, it will show you how aggressive you are in your portfolio. I ask people all the time, are you conservative, moderate, or aggressive investor? You're in retirement now. Oh, I'm conservative, maybe towards moderate. And I walk in, and they're taking more risk than the S&P 500. So your risk alliance has to be coordinated with where you are in life. And that's one of the things that we'll do with you when we analyze your assets. We'll give you a second opinion on your assets to see how much risk you're taking, okay? Because here's what happens. You know, in 2022, who's heard of that balanced portfolio, 60-40, 60% equities, 40% bonds, and you're going to be totally safe. No matter what happens in the markets, you're going to be okay. Well, how did that portfolio perform in 2022? The Federal Reserve raised interest rates, markets went down because of volatility, a balanced portfolio was down 25% in 2022. But wait a minute, I thought I was safe. I had bonds, they work inverse of stocks. No, they don't. If you ever told bonds work inverse of stocks, they go opposite directions, absolutely not. Bonds work by interest rates. Stocks work by market rates, markets. You know, supply and demand. No correlation between the two. Wall Street sold you a lie by saying bonds are inverse of stocks. That is not true. Bonds are work versus interest rates. If you have stocks and bonds, your portfolio is not diversified. Everyone thinks they are. I'm diversified, 60-40. No, you're not. Everything that you have is at risk, some sort of risk. Interest rate risk, market risk, geopolitical risk, because when the wars are going on like they are right now, bond values drop too. Gold drops, bond values drops, everything drops. So that's not a diversified portfolio, okay? So if you lose 25, so let's say 2022 happened, you had $100,000 in your portfolio, and you lose 25% of that portfolio, you only have $75,000 left, right? You need 33 1/3% return to get back to even the next year. Who's taking that kind of risk? If you lose 25% of your portfolio, how many of you, be honest, how many of you are going to cash because you're panicking? A lot of people are, especially if you're taking income. You know, if you're growing the portfolio when you're younger, yeah, go ahead, I don't care, it doesn't matter. But when you're 65, you're whatever, I'm retired, I'm about to retire, you can't afford that kind of loss. Because it's not a matter of if you'll run out of money, it'll be a matter of when, okay? So, that's a new math for retirees. And let's talk about the 4% distribution rule. Who's heard of that? all in retirement, this economist created it 50 years ago. You just take 4% out of your portfolio every year, you'll never worry about running out of money. That worked in the 30s and 40s and 50s when the markets weren't where they are today. But let's just talk about what happened from 2000 to 2009. You have $1 million in 2000. You're going to implement the 4% distribution strategy. That's the only year you're going to collect $40,000. Because that year, 2000, the market was down 19.41%. 2001, the market was down 18%. 2002, the market was down 23.3%. So your balance was going down, your distribution was going down. You never once, in the remaining 10-year period, collected $40,000. Because all you did was reduce your portfolio, so your 4% was on less money every year. And by the end of 2009, 9 years in to a 30-year retirement, you have $480,000. So the 4% rule, with all your money in the markets, doesn't work. That is not a diversified portfolio. When we talk diversified portfolio, we talk about the three investment worlds. This sheet of paper here has been in front of people worth $200 million, $50 million, $50,000. I show this sheet to every person that walks into my office. Because a truly diversified portfolio is not all your money in Wall Street. Now, you guys are all proud. We talk about bring your statements in when you come see us. And I got the big box firm statement, and wow, everything's great. And I'm like, well, what's your tax plan? I don't have one. What's your market volatility plan? What's your aggressiveness plan? Well, I've been in the same stuff I've been in for 20 years. Okay, all of your money is in the markets. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, options, variable annuities, REITs, hedge funds. Everything's got some sort of risk in it. When we say safe money or diversified, we mean over the three investment worlds. The two worlds on the left, one of them is banks. Everybody has to have some money in a bank. I don't care who you are, you have to have some money in a bank for safety and ease of access. Now, having too much money in a bank, we've seen people in market volatility some people have raised their hand and they said, who's going to cash? That's a mistake too. You can't put all your money in a bank. I see people with $200,000, $300,000 bragging about their CDs. You're losing money to inflation every day by keeping your money in a bank. You use a bank for an emergency fund, 4 to 6 months of bills. That's it. If you have more than that in a bank, you're letting the bank make money on you and not yourself. So banks are for emergencies, right? Now we have hybrids. Banks offer equity-linked CDs where you can get equity returns, like titled return to the S&P 500, but not any risk in the S&P 500. Insurance companies, they have money in the first world's fixed annuities. They work just like CDs. You get a rate of return for the amount of years you want to give them. They have that. They also have equity-linked annuities that give you market-like return with no risk. Now, we're not here to sell annuities, but I'm here to tell you that there are options, and having money in all multiple buckets inside of your portfolio, that is diversified. Now, how do we create a rising, we're almost done, how do we create a rising income plan in retirement? Okay, if you have all your money in Wall Street, which almost everybody does, you can't have a rising income plan. Your money is going to go up and down like the stock market. And if the stock market's going down, I don't know what year that's going to be, you will not have a rising income. You're probably going to stop your income or lower your income. Okay? But if you diversify amongst these three buckets and put your earlier years of income in the safe money world, I don't care what happens to the stock market. I'm only using the stock market world for 10 years, 20 years down the road. So if the market's going crazy, I'm not touching that bucket. I'm going to use my safe money buckets for the early income. So income for 5 to 7 years goes out of bank number 1. Income for 8 years to 15 years goes out of bucket number 2. Income from years 19 through 30 will be between buckets number 3. And it will increase every section of the year. So the first 5 years, we're going to, depending on how we build it, you'll have an increasing income stream throughout retirement. Who has that plan set up? You guys don't have that plan set up?
I have it, but.
Oh, I figured, I knew you did.
I have
knew you
3
did.
buckets, yes, I do have 3
I
buckets.
love it, I love it. Did you come to one of my seminars before, maybe? So if you don't have a rising income plan, you're missing the boat again. So we just gave you 3 different topics, right? 3 different things. And I showed you ways to improve in all 3. All you have to do now is we're done, we're finished, is, hey, take us up on our offer. I promise you, it's gonna be stress-free. No one's gonna force you to do anything. We will come and we will run your numbers. We'll run DPS tax bill for you and run your tax deferred accounts, which you have, okay? We'll run you a market analysis of your current investments. I'll give you a Morningstar report, which will show you how much risk you're actually taking. I'm not gonna make it up. I'm gonna run a Morningstar report. Who here has their financial advisor given a Morningstar report to? Has your current advisors shown you your Morningstar report? We'll run it for you for free. People come into my office, so I've been working with the same person for 10 years. Okay, what's the Morningstar report say? I don't even know what you're talking about. Who's Morningstar? They haven't run a Morningstar report for you? They have your best interest over your own, and they haven't analyzed your assets? We run it for our clients all the time. So we'll run that for you for free. All you have to do is make an appointment. That's probably running the tax bill, running the Morningstar report, doing an increasing income plan. I'll give you 3 different versions of plans for you that probably cost about $1,500 of my time to do it for free. All you gotta do is say, yeah, you know what? Let me go see that guy. Go to the Roseland office for an hour.
How do you analyze like a white label, blended fund, what the white label target date fund? Because I
Oh, they're easy. They're easy. Because the white label target date fund has a symbol. It's got a symbol because it trades on some exchange. It has a symbol. Yeah, it has.
Because I know that we have like multiple investors, like say international equity.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 different investors.
We'll be able to do that. We'll be able to analyze. Yep. So a couple last things, then we're gonna wrap up. If you want to take us up on our offer, right? Just sit with Ted and Sue, make the appointment, no obligation. But I'm gonna ask you for 2 things. We hate telephone tag. They have our calendar. Like I said, I'm traveling crazy with shows and stuff. Get a date in the calendar. But if you do decide to come see us, bring your statements with you, okay? Bring your statements with you so we can work right away, due to time, and get the analysis done for our next meeting at no obligation. You're gonna never pay anything until you actually become a client, if you do. So it's no cost, okay? But bring your statements, and we hate telephone tag. So make an appointment. We're gonna give you a $1,500 value for free about why you really came here tonight on a Thursday night before the NFL draft at the Parsippany Library. So we'll answer questions. If you're interested, sit with Ted and Sue, make your appointment real quick while I'm answering questions for people, and then we'll go